What's up guys, Noah from Stage 3 Motorsports here, and today I'm going to be bringing you a review on this AWE catback exhaust system for the F150. Now we've got this AWE kit installed on our 2018 5.0 truck, and it's the same kit that you're going to see for the EcoBoost engines as well, but obviously the sound is going to be completely different with the 5.0, so we're going to be focusing specifically on a V8 review for this one. It's also worth noting that most of their kits use the factory resonator, but because we pulled another aftermarket kit off to put this one on, we actually had to get a resonator from AWE to add to the system to complete it. So we are running their resonator with their exhaust on it. It is a full kit now. With that being said, let's get into the actual meat of the review. When it comes to putting an exhaust on your truck, it can be very subjective to what people like or dislike. Some folks really do want a loud, burly exhaust, especially on a 5.0 with a V8. Other folks really like something that's a bit more tame and sounds similar to stock. Typically, I'm kind of right in that middle zone where I want something that definitely sounds louder than what came on the truck from factory and gives it that presence, but isn't going to be so loud and obnoxious that it just drones constantly and is hard to live with on a day-to-day basis. And the AWE, I wasn't so sure about. We don't know a ton about the brand. It was newer to our website. We haven't ran any of their kits before, so this is the first one we've ever done. And I was kind of interested to see where it would land and was a little hesitant at first. But I am pleased to say that this exhaust has impressed me immensely. The first big thing I noticed is that when I installed this kit and the resonator with it, it installed flawlessly. Everything was welded up really nice. The kit looked good. It was packaged well. It bolted straight onto the truck with no issues. I wasn't having to cut things, make up mid-pipe pieces to get it to reach the right length. There wasn't issues with the hangers not lining up. It literally went on like a dream, and that is something that if you haven't installed exhaust, aftermarket exhaust before, it's a very welcome change because there are a lot of kits out there that just don't install that nice, and you do have to kind of fight with them and cut them and bend bits to get it to work the way you want it to. With the AWE, there was none of that, and I would even go as far as to say it was probably the easiest aftermarket exhaust install I've ever done. So we will have a video on that as well that you guys can check out, but we're not going to be going too much into the install here. All right. That's some chop. Now with that out of the way, the next thing I'll say is in terms of actually driving around with this kit, it pretty much hits right in the middle where I like it. It is louder than factory. You definitely know that there's an exhaust on here, but it's not so over the top that it's awful to drive with. It's got a nice kind of choppy tone to it where you can tell that they didn't just throw a generic muffler on this. There's a little bit of tuning that was involved to get the right kind of sound to where on a cold start it really fires up and kind of burbles really nicely. Then when you're on the throttle you get a really good solid growl, and once you let off it pretty much just dissipates. There's always going to be some sound in the cab, and I would not say that this is like a completely silent or like completely drone-free exhaust in the cab, but it is very reserved, and it's surprising how much it dials back when you let off the throttle compared to how loud it is outside the vehicle when you're actually on it. So you really do get the best of both worlds here, and in the cab you get that little bit of engine sound. You can hear it burbling along, especially if you're on the throttle a little bit on the highway. You can just subtly hear it. But one of the first things I noticed was that putting this exhaust on versus the old one we had that droned extremely loudly, this one's not only quieter, but I could hear the tires again. And so we do have some mud trains on here that are a little bit noisier, and it was actually nice to know that the exhaust was quiet enough that now it was only the tire noise that was an issue. So for those of you guys who have a family or want something that is still drivable, that isn't going to annoy your kids when they're riding around in the vehicle, I think this is going to be the exhaust kit for you because it really does hit it just right, perfectly in the middle. This is probably one of the best kits to nail that. There's a lot of nice systems on the market, and AWE is definitely on the more expensive end of the spectrum, but when it comes to comparing them to like Corsa and Borla and some of the other higher end exhaust kits, they are definitely up there and definitely competing. and I would say in some ways the sound that this exhaust makes is probably better than some of those other kits that are on the upper end of the market. Now with that, there is obviously a cheaper side to the market as well, where you can get into a lower grade entry-level exhaust system that's still going to do the job and get you a different tone out of your vehicle and will, you know, replace your muffler, replace your resonator, whatever that may be. But I've not typically been a fan of the cheaper exhausts in the past, so while you are going to be paying quite a bit more for a system like this, I think in the end it really is worth it, because this is something that you're experiencing every single time you're driving your vehicle. Now, getting on the throttle with this thing, like I said earlier, the tone is really, really nice, and it does sound way more aggressive when you're really putting your foot down and getting on the gas. It's just got a nice rumble to it. It's outside the truck is pretty loud, and definitely gives it some presence when you're getting on the throttle. You know, people around you will hear you, no doubt about that. And the cold start, like I said, is pretty aggressive too, enough that it maybe will upset your neighbors slightly when you start this thing in the morning, depending on how close you are to them or how tolerant they are of truck noises. But it does die down a little bit once the truck's warmed up or it's had a second to settle in. If there was any drawback to this kit, I'd maybe say that that's it. But to be completely honest with you guys, it's hard to come up with a lot of drawbacks other than the expensive price tag. Really, this is just a very, very nice exhaust system overall, and I don't typically like to just rave on a system when there's so many options on the market and so many different things that you could look for, but AWE has seriously impressed me with this one. So as for my final thoughts on the AWE kit, I think this is a really excellent system, and if you're looking for something that is just brutally loud like a stock car and is full force, all V8 all the time, this maybe isn't the kit for you. And if you're on the opposite end of the spectrum and you want something that is pretty much bone stock and doesn't make any noise, then this might not be the right kit either. But if you are right in the middle and you want something that has that strong V8 tone, that you can still live with it day to day and not have to worry about excessive drone in the cab, then I think this is right in that sweet spot. And for most people, I think this is going to be a kit that they're going to gravitate towards. Guys, if you're interested in checking out that install, it is live and we'll link that for you in this video, and you can kind of get an idea of what it takes to put one of these on your truck. With that being said, we'll also have some links down in the description if you want to pick up one of these kits for your F-150. And as always, thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you next time.